Big round of applause for Kelly. Come on.
Hey, so I found myself back on OkCupid this past spring, and thank you. I say back because if you're not familiar with the site, which I'm guessing a lot of you are, but they have you can delete your account or you can disable it, and you disable it, you can come back at any time. So like if I meet somebody or if I'm just giving up on humanity for a little while, I'll just disable it because, you know, who am I kidding? I'm always back. So anyway, so I'm back on there, and let me just say also, I really like OkCupid because it's like it's edgier than Match.com, but like it's less creepy than Craigslist. But anyway, so this guy writes to me, and he seems really charming, and we have a little back and forth, and then he says, so do you want to get together and go for a walk in the park? It was a beautiful Saturday in LA. I said, that sounds great. So we started trying to plan where we can meet and discover that we lived just a few blocks from each other. Great, you know, especially because he had mentioned in his profile that he didn't have a car by choice. So like one of those. But I was just like, you know, I'm not going to be picky this time, you know. And but there was he also had said something about like some emotional issues. And I was just like, you know, well, you know, who doesn't really? And I'm not like the face of sanity, and he's being upfront about it, so that's cool. That's cool. So we set up a time, and then he follows up with, well, you know, I can't guarantee I'll be functional because that's kind of hit or miss these days. So I'm like, all right, now that's a red flag that I can't really sweep under the rug, but I'm like, I didn't have anything else to do that day, and I was just like, you know what, let's bring it on. Like, you know, how crazy can it be? So I go and I meet him, and he's a little weird, you know. It's just kind of difficult to talk to. Like, they didn't say much, and I'm just like struggling to make conversation. And we're sitting on this like pretty grassy hill in Elysian Park, and I was like, so your profile said that you just moved back from Peru. What were you doing there? And he said, I was studying shamanism. I was like, oh, that's interesting. What exactly is a shaman? And he said, kind of looked in the sky and said, you know, that's a really good question. And then he says, do you mind if I smoke? I'm just like, yeah, sure. Okay, so, and then like, and the sun's starting to go down, it's getting a little colder. He brought a backpack with him. He starts pulling out jeans and a hoodie, and he's like, I'm gonna change clothes. I was like, where? And he's like, just here, and he's taking off his shoes. I'm like, there's a playground right over there with little kids. You can't take your pants off. And he's like, I have boxers on, it's no big deal. And so I'm just like, I'm trying to look away, because I just met him, and I don't want to see his testicles, like, yet, you know, like, and then I'm like, you know what, I'm getting a little cold myself, and I didn't bring a change of clothes, so why don't we wrap this up? So we're walking back, and I'm still struggling to make conversation, and so I try to make a joke about the whole, like, functional thing, and he's like, yeah, it's a good thing I was today, and I was just like, oh, so this is you being functional then, okay. And he's like, what do you mean? I'm like, well, so what's non-functional? And he's like, well, I freeze up and I can't talk to anybody, and I call it the affliction. I was just like, doesn't sound that different from what I'm experiencing, but you know, okay. And so we get to the point where it's like turn off to my house, and I'm like, well, okay, it was really nice meeting you. He's like, oh, is this over? And I was like, you know, and so I ended up inviting him back to my house for a drink. And I don't know why really, but I really just needed a drink, I guess. And so we go back, and I'm feeling better, you know, after some wine, and I'm blabbing on. I'm thinking, you know what? At least he's a quiet kind of crazy, and he's a good listener. It's like I can work with that. And then he sits down his drink and says, "It's happening." It's like, like what? And he's like starts like hunching up, and I'm just like, is there something I can do? And he's like, there's nothing anyone can ever do. And I'm just like, okay, well, and he says like, this could go one of two ways. I can leave, or if you want to come back with me, we can watch this Amy Schumer movie I downloaded last night. I'm just like, I don't think Trainwreck's gonna help this. And so he leaves, and cut to today. We're getting ready for our wedding next month. You guys are too easy. I'm totally kidding. Sorry, I couldn't help myself. But we are friends, and he's actually like a really cool guy. Like he's very creative. He's an excellent artist, filmmaker, musician, and I'm so glad I met him. And that's why there are no deal breakers for me, because everybody's worth getting to know whether they're functional or not. So, thank you.